Hey Shark fans, it's Melinda Marsalis. Welcome to Heard It on the Shark. I'll be your show host, and Mississippi Hills National Heritage Area is your show sponsor. Heard It on the Shark is a weekly interview show that airs every Tuesday at 11 a.m. on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi. Then it's released as a podcast on all the major podcast platforms. You'll hear interviews with the movers and shakers in North Mississippi who are making things happen. I'll talk to entrepreneurs, leaders of business, medicine, education, and the people behind all the amazing things happening in North Mississippi. When people ask you, how did you know about that? You'll say, I heard it on the Shark. Heard It on the Shark is brought to you by the Mississippi Hills National Heritage Area. We want you to get out and discover the historic, cultural, natural, scenic, and recreational treasures of the Mississippi Hills that are right in your backyard. And of course, we want you to take the Shark 102.3 FM along for the ride. Musical credit belongs to Hill Country Blues guitar legend Gary Burnside and the late great Buddy Grisham, playing Long Way Home from their album Acoustic Brothers, which was recorded at Sun Bear Studio in Ripley, Mississippi.
This program was recorded at Sun Bear Studio in Ripley, Mississippi.
Hey Shark fans, it's Melinda with another episode of Heard It on the Shark. And today in Sun Bear Studio, I have with me Miss Iva Barkley. Now, Iva and I have known each other for a long, long time. I've said on this program multiple times that I am a lifetime educator. I have taught school in Ripley for a long, long time. And Iva was another teacher with me during those years. But we've both retired, and now she has become a children's book author, and that's what she's come here to talk to us about today. So thanks, Iva, for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I want you to tell me just a little bit about the books that you've written first.
Well, I've written 5 children's books and a personal testimony book. My first book is called Kudzu Critters. It's about a boy whose family moves to Mississippi, and he gets to experience kudzu for the first time in a fun and unusual way. My second book is called Hattie and Maddie Are Twins, and this book is based on my twin goats by the same names. It's about their life and their experiences on a farm. And the third book is Hattie and Maddie and the Open Gate, and this is just a cute book about the twins also, and they have found that the gate has been left open, and they have further experiences on the farm. The fourth book is called There's a Ghost in Our School, and this is a fanciful story about a ghost based on true experiences that I, my husband, and a few others have had at our local elementary school. And I have a new children's book out, and it's called But I'm Just a Tiny Seed, and it's based on the parable of the mustard seed in the Bible. It's written from the seed's point of view, and its theme is no matter how small you are, you can do big things. And then my personal testimony book is called Life and Faith Down a Mississippi Red Dirt Road. And it just deals with life, trauma, death, depression, grief, and the loss of faith, and how through spiritual experiences, signs and miracles, and visits from angels that God so graciously allowed me to experience, I was able to have my faith fully restored and strengthened.
Okay, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot. Okay, what made you first, you said the kudzu book was your first book.
Yes.
What made you say, you know what, I've got a story in my head, I want to write it?
I would have to say my children for the first part. I've always had a love for books and storytelling and just the emotions that you get from those. My parents would read and tell us stories, and my grandfather, Pop, would tell us Burr Rabbit stories and Burr Fox stories, and they were always my favorite. And I remember grown men coming to my grandparents' house and having my grandfather tell them Burr Rabbit stories, and they would just sit around the kitchen table and laugh until they cried. And I remember thinking how awesome it was to get that kind of a reaction from just having a story told to you. And when I became a mother, I would read and tell my boys stories, and I would make up stories for them every night. We would add a little something to them, and I just started writing them down so I could remember where we left off. But the thing that I remember most is just the fun that we had, the enjoyment that they got from it, and me as well, and watching them enjoy the stories. You know, their smiles on their faces. And when I became a teacher, my children as well. At school, you know, if you've never heard a child laugh out loud while reading, it's priceless, especially if they've been struggling with reading. And so that let me know that, you know, they enjoyed it. They had that emotion that only a story can give you.
And so I guess that's why you decided to also publish.
Yes, I wanted to publish because, I'm no longer in that classroom. I can't experience that anymore in the classroom. My children are grown. I don't have any grandchildren yet. And I'm going to stress yet, but, if I don't live long enough to see them, then I want to leave that legacy behind for any potential grandchildren, for my boys, and for any child.
Tell me how you got your books published, because I'm sure there are people listening who would also like to go from the idea in their head to actually having the book published.
Yes. So when I was working as a teacher, we had Accelerated Reader, and I helped with scholastic book fairs. And I would look at those books and think, if they can publish a book, I can too. And so when I decided to try to do that, I got the names of publishers and the addresses from their books, and I sent in copies of my manuscripts in manila envelopes. That's how long ago that I tried to start this process, because now, you can just electronically submit.
Right.
But I submitted to 3 or 4 publishers the traditional route and never heard anything back. So I kind of put it off, and years passed by. I researched other ways and found more publishers and sent in a query letter. I did hear back from one, but they just wanted so much money up front. I would have to hire an illustrator. Their name would be on my book, and I really didn't want that. I wanted my own illustrations. And not only that, but I would basically have to sell my rights to my book, and I didn't want to do that. So not knowing very much about the process, if it was legit, if this was how things were supposed to be, I put it off yet again. Another few years passed, and I thought, this time I'm going to do it. I was determined. So I found a self-publishing process on Amazon called Kindle Direct Publishing, and this was a print-on-demand process. So I would have I wouldn't have lots of books on hand. They would just be printed as needed. And I could also do ebooks, which is a good thing now. I mean, people don't use paperback books anymore very much. And I could sell on Amazon, on my own, or both ways. And it was just more cost efficient. It's an easiest process that I found for me, and it meant that I would be in charge of my own books, keep my rights, and not be so worried. And I'm proud to say I gave it a try, and I did it.
Is there anything that you would recommend to other authors out there that they do differently than what you did? Do you have any advice for other authors?
What I would do different is I wouldn't wait. I wouldn't put it off. I should have tried harder of doing what I dreamed of doing earlier. So I would have done it for my kids when they were younger. I have so many ideas just jotted down in a notebook, and I look at them now and I think, what a waste. So I would just say, don't do it. Don't put it off. Don't wait like I did. The advice that I would say is just don't give up. Don't get overwhelmed or discouraged. That was a big thing for me. Work at your own pace and enjoy it. If you want to get your story published, I would tell my students there's more than one way to get the answer. If you need to take those shoes off and go count those toes, then that's what we're going to do. Meaning, if you can't do it one way, try another. If traditional publishing doesn't work out in your favor, try self-publishing. You may not get rich, and trust me, you won't. We all can't be John Grisham's, but for me, that was never what it was about. If you have a story and you share it with someone, you might just make them smile or laugh.
Yep, my daughter has gone through the same exact process. She had a story about a raindrop coming to Earth, and it was about the water cycle. She's a science teacher for little kids, and it was really scary, and she did the same process of trying the traditional routes and trying all these different things, and she self-published too, and it's a great book, and it really just cut out a lot of red tape for her. But even it was super hard. It's super scary to publish your own book.
Yes, it is. Yes, it was a struggle for me, and in 2018 I had a stroke, and everything just kind of taxes my brain. And that initial process was scary and hard, but I got through it, and I'm so proud that I did. I'm very proud of myself.
Well, my third little grandson, Thomas, I have 4 grandchildren, and the third one is Thomas. He's 3, and he got tell me the names of the goats again.
Hattie and Maddie.
Hattie and Maddie. He got the 2 Hattie and Maddie books for Easter from his Emmy.
I'm so proud.
Yep. So it's really good. It's good for you that you've done this and published and shared. Where can people find your books?
Okay, they are available on Amazon. One of them is an e-reader, so you can download it on Kindle. I'm working on getting the others processed as ebooks as well, but you can order on Amazon or you can order directly from me. You can message me on Facebook and you can get a signed copy that way.
Okay, Shark fans, you heard it here. Get those books from Iva Barkley. They are adorable. I have all 4 that you've published. I have all 4, and they are super cute. So get your own copy of that. And if you are an author with a story in your head, get out there and get it published, and don't delay.
Yes, just do it.
Just do it. Okay, Iva, thanks so much for coming to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Shark fans, that's it for this edition of Heard It on the Shark. Tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. to find out what's going on with our local community leaders. If you have a question or a comment or a suggestion for an interview, or if you want access to this interview, you can go to our website, shark1023.com, and just click on that podcast tab. Keep it tuned to the Shark 1023 and have a great rest of the day.
The Mississippi Hills National Heritage Area was established by the United States Congress in 2009 and represents a distinctive cultural landscape shaped by the dynamic intersection of Appalachian and Delta cultures. This intersection has produced a powerful concentration of nationally significant cultural icons, including King of Rock and Roll Elvis Presley, First Lady of Country Music Tammy Wynette, blues legend Howlin' Wolf, civil rights icons Ida B. Wells Barnett and James Meredith, America's favorite playwright Tennessee Williams, and Nobel laureate William Faulkner. The stories of the Mississippi Hills are many and powerful, from music and literature to Native American and African American heritage to the Civil War. The Mississippi Hills National Heritage Area supports the local institutions that preserve and share Northeast Mississippi's rich heritage. Begin your discovery of the historic, cultural, natural, scenic, and recreational treasures of our region by visiting the Mississippi Hills National Heritage Area online at mississipphills.org.
This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted, and Sun Bear Recording Studio where the interviews are recorded. We need your feedback and support. If you listen to the podcast on a player like iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcasts. Today's episode was produced by Melinda Marsalis. It was edited by Rick Williams and engineered by Chris Marsalis. The podcast technician is Joyce Grady.